everybody. I'm Bob Maskell, the incoming leader of the Leadership Development Team. Welcome to this, the next in a series of webinars on different and important Rotary topics. This series has been developed with all the individual teams of coordinators from membership to foundation, public image to humanitarian, all working together. As leader of the LDT, I'm hosting this evening's event, but we are no longer working in silos and working to bring you a coordinated approach. Tonight's webinar, Passport to Alternative Rotary, provides information on the different sorts of clubs available and how they work to provide a different sort of Rotary for new members. Steve Martin, the Rotary Coordinator, will introduce the first of our new types of clubs, and each of these will be in the form of a short interview with members of the different clubs. Steve, over to you.
Thanks very much, Bob, and good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. So since we started these webinars with the Membership Summit, both Leslie and I have been invited to many districts and individual clubs, and also some assemblies and some council meetings to talk about membership. And the biggest draw, without a doubt, has been the formation of new clubs, and in particular, the Passport Club model. Of course, we are more than happy to come along and chat to you all at any time, but we thought it might be good to hold an information session on the subject, and that way deliver the idea to everybody. And we've worked really hard to ensure that there is a representative from every district here tonight, because ultimately we would love to see a passport club or similar in every district in the next 12 to 18 months. I know at the moment there are several already in the making, and districts are getting in touch with us all the time regarding the Passport Club setup. And I should also add, at this point, that all of the previous membership recruitment initiatives still stand. We're not casting aside our traditional clubs. In fact, they are going to play a very, very important part in the passport model. And in the past, it has been said that, the situation was bad. It is quite serious. So recruitment to our existing clubs at the rate that we're doing at the moment isn't quite enough. So we need to make sure that we go on and think of new ideas. And the passport model and alternative clubs is just what we're going to talk about tonight. So by offering a more relaxed and flexible approach to Rotary, we will be able to attract those people who would like to volunteer, but simply do not have the time to meet every week and eat dinner. So clubs have to realise that by meeting as a lunchtime Rotary club, they're not going to be able to attract the younger business or community type people. So that sort of thing's not going to happen. And if we want to survive and ensure the future of Rotary in the locality, we are going to offer you some ideas and help, and we want to work with you on these ideas, not against you. So as coordinators, Leslie and I have come across some really great new clubs, and these have been started by people who want to do things just that little bit differently. They have a passion for the organisation, and they've decided to grow Rotary with one eye on the future, and there have been some excellent initiatives. So tonight we've invited along 4 people who have different stories about how they got their club started. We're going to get them to tell us their stories, the people that are actually in these clubs. They're going to tell you some of the great opportunities and, of course, some of the hurdles that they faced along the way as well. We have James Thomas from the North Wales and North West England Passport Club, Sujay Paul from the London Passport Club, Lisa Hunter from the Maidenhead Bridge Club, and Andrew Thompson from the Satellite Club of Chesterfield. So we're going to start this evening with passport clubs. And now I saw this idea by visiting other Facebook pages from different clubs across the world, and I stumbled across a club in Canada. I then found another one in Australia. So I got in touch with these guys and I said, look, how does this idea work? What is this passport thing all about? And it was explained to me that these are clubs that are based in a district and there is no fixed meeting place. Generally, they meet online twice a month, and they meet in person once a month for a social or to carry out a project. Now, they appear to be really flexible, and I thought this is exactly what we need in the UK. So I set about forming a club with some very willing volunteers in District 1180. And just 1 year ago, we formed the very first passport club in Great Britain and Ireland. And I'm delighted to say that we have the president of that club with us this evening, Good evening, James Thomas.
Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, James. Thank you very much for joining us this evening and passing on the idea and helping us to spread the news about passport clubs and alternative clubs. So I've got some questions I want to ask you, James. So please bear with me, be as honest as you can, because the idea is that we want these people to know exactly what it is we're talking about. We want to get these ideas across. So you were actually a member of a traditional club, James, but you decided to become the founder member of the first passport club. Why was that?
Yeah, so I was a member of a very cookie cutter Rotary Club. You know, everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say that. For 3 years, I was a member of that club. And to be honest, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being the presence of the older generation. You know, I gained a lot from learning from them and learning about Rotary. I became involved with the district. Now, as I progressed, I sat on the club's committees, became the chairman of community, and what I thought as I progressed in Rotary, I became more passionate about the club and growing the club and trying new things. In the years of the club, not many people wanted to be president of it, which is the case in a lot of Rotary clubs. So I thought, you know what? I'm putting myself forward to be the president. I want to do it. I want to be the president of this club. So I marched forward. I knew no one else nominated themselves. I said, I want to be the president. I want to put myself forward. I can do it. But I hope I've got the confidence of the club. And the current president said, no, you don't have enough life experience to be a president of a Rotary Club. Now, from that point forward, I became quite disenfranchised in that club and unhappy, because I thought, well, if they're just going to base my value on my age, then, you know, I deserve a better club. So that essentially is why I was looking for other alternative options. And when you came to me, Steve, I jumped at the bit.
So did you, I mean, I know it can be a touchy subject, but did you have any issues with members of your club? But in the end, was it all quite amicable?
It was very amicable, really. They were very understanding and supportive. This club has supported me no end, and I love them to bits. But ultimately, you know, we look at Rotary in a very different way, and they're both perfectly valid ways of looking at Rotary. But yeah, it was completely amicable, and I work with them now.
That's excellent. So what was it that attracted you to the style of the Passport Club in the first place, James?
Well, I really dislike bureaucracy in Rotary. You know, I can be very professional and go through all the hoops in my working life, but in Rotary, I want to do projects and do service and have fun. So I like the fluidity of a passport club, the flexibility, everyone propping themselves up. And I've just been in Uganda for the past 6 months. Now, I don't think I could have been an active member of a traditional club while being in Uganda. So it allows me that ultimate flexibility of I can still do service, still be a valued member of the club, and be anywhere in the world and just embrace that international aspect of Rotary as a wider family.
Excellent. So what about when the club was first formed? You know, obviously there were some people who were already in Rotary that joined the club from other clubs. Was it easy to get non-Rotarians into the club?
Yes, it was very easy. So we started with a little core of Rotarians, as he said, and then we just went to non-Rotarians with this idea, and not of selling a Rotary Club and its meetings, but of projects, and saying, would you like to be involved in this project? And that is much more appealing than would you want to come and sit and watch a speaker, in my view anyway. And so we got them involved by being invested into projects and being very project-led. And from the point we formed, from our first informational meeting to our charter was 2.5 months. So we went off like a rocket. And most of the people, I think we had one person leave, but most of the people were hooked as soon as they got in, which was lovely to see. Now we're all one big family.
Well, that's excellent. And what sort of things, because it's pretty much a year old now, the club. What sort of things has the club, briefly, because I know that there's a lot that's gone on, but give us some highlights of the things that the club's been up to this year, James.
Oh, yeah, there's so much. You know, we've worked with over, I'd say, roughly over 30 Rotary clubs. We've had, as of our AGM, which was last month, we've had £32,000 in our bank account. Now that sounds like we've been doing a lot of fundraising. No, we've been applying for grants. We're very ambitious as a club. We've been involved with what we call rainbow bags at Christmas to, you know, a bit of a treat for children because they were very underserved and some families don't have much money at Christmas time. So we give them a rainbow bag as a bit of a pick-me-up. Recipe boxes, which is a box with a recipe in it, but also all the ingredients to the recipe. And we're giving them to people that are, again, underserved in the community. We do international projects. So what I was doing out in Uganda, a sanitary project. Essentially, you know, a lot of things that a regular Rotary Club would do, but ramped up times 10 because every single member in our club is involved in a project, is very engaged, is either going to another club and saying, what do you need help with? Or going to another club and saying, we've got this project, do you want to help? And it's resulted in us having like 50 different projects. I could be here all day naming these projects. It's incredible. We've got a Passmobile, which was delivering potatoes all around Powys. You know, just mind-boggling projects.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact, obviously, there has been a lot, and I think you've got the point over there that the club has been very, very busy during the pandemic. There's no question about that. So it seems to operate slightly different to a normal club. What's probably the most different thing that between the Passport Club and the traditional club that you would say?
Okay, so I'll knock it off straight away to say it's very different from an E-club. Because we are geographically based in the region of our district, which is Mid, North Wales and Northwest England. We're split up in teams or hubs based on our geographical locations. So we have, you know, we do it by counties. So we have people in the Powys County, people in Cheshire, Conway, Southport, etc., Wrexham, and they all do projects locally. So they are on the ground working with clubs, but they also work together. And there is that incredible connectivity and identity as a Passport Club that makes it so all these little teams aren't working in isolation. They're all interconnected, and there's that awesome synergy between them where they just get so much stuff done. And when you have an idea for a project, it's done. You know, everyone's there to support each other, and it's rolled out in all these different areas. So the scalability is awesome. It's fantastic.
Brilliant. That's great. I've got one final question for you, James, before we move on, and that's because people will ask this question, and that is, you know, were there any pitfalls in starting the club up, and was there any opposition when you set the club up as well?
Yeah, so I call myself, as the president, a fireman because I'm putting out fires all the time. I swoop in when there's a club that is a bit upset with what we're doing. There's been a lot of pitfalls, to be completely honest. A lot of more traditional clubs are either confused at what we're doing, threatened because we're infringing on their geographical territory, or generally just upset that there's another Rotary Club in the area, you know, because they've been in isolation for 50 or 60 years. Now, our mindset to that is to firstly educate them on what we're doing, and secondly, say, you know, we are not replacing traditional clubs. We're not replacing any type of club. We're complementing clubs, and we're all here together to support one another. So we kill it with kindness, and we keep offering to help them, get involved with them. Or do you want a bit of money from our grants that we've had? You know, we keep positively reinforcing our presence, and then eventually they wanted to work with us. And we got the clubs that were originally a bit scared, a bit intimidated by us, working with us. So there's been a lot of challenges at the start, but it ends up very positive for the most part. And yeah, it's great to work with these clubs and people with different viewpoints. But it was initially getting that through.
Yeah, I see. That's brilliant, James. Thank you so much for everything that you said. And I know that there will be people that probably have questions, want to ask things. There will be an opportunity to ask some questions at the end. But what I'm going to do now is not all passport clubs are going to be the same. There are going to be slight differences. And I'd like to hand over to Leslie now, if I can, who's going to bring in a different type of passport club. Leslie.
Hi, thanks, Steve, and thanks, James. And I would like to welcome Sujay Hall, who is the president of the London Rotary Passport Club.
Hello, very good evening to all of you.
Hi, Sujay. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. And I'm going to start off on a slightly different tack to Steve. And I'm going to ask the question, how old are you and what do you do professionally?
Right, very good evening to all of you, first of all. Well, I'm in my mid-30s, okay, if that helps, okay? And I'm a multi-business owner in the areas of education, properties and tourism, e-commerce, and I'm also an international public speaker and a certified life and business coach, and of course, a massive proud Rotarian.
Yes, I don't think they will have got all of that, Sujay, but that's fine. And how did you get involved in Rotary?
Well, that's a beautiful story, actually. Like living in London for like 12 years, around 2018, I actually wanted to go back to India to be close to my parents, and also wanted to help community back in India. With all the skills and the network that I have, I always thought that not everyone is privileged to come here, but I can go back and give the skills back to people in India. So I went back to India in 2018. I was looking for an organization with whom I could associate myself with, but it was quite of a challenge because, of course, you don't trust every organization. You don't know how the funds work, whether all of the funds goes towards the cause or not. All right. So that was a concern for me. And also another thing was like, there are a lot of things you can do together as compared to you can do yourself. Right. So I was always wanting to associate myself with an organization. And one of my school teachers, actually, she came forward and she said, "Hey, Sujay, have you heard of Rotary before?" I'm like, no. And she was like, "Well, that's the organization to be in, because I mean, it literally ticks all the boxes." So I joined Rotary in 2018 in a club in a small place in the northeast of India, District 3240. And that's how I got involved with Rotary, Leslie.
And how has Rotary helped you in your professional life?
My God, I mean, I don't know, where do I start from?
So you've got a couple of minutes.
Right. I mean, it definitely ticked all the boxes. I think Rotary definitely ticks all the boxes. It's all up to us as to what all we want to grab. I think everything is at stake. Everything is on the plate. It's all up to our proactiveness in terms of what we want. If you were to be asking me how it helped me professionally, when I went back to my city, because I did not live there much, so I did not know anyone. So Rotary helped me with friends. I made amazing friends after joining Rotary. Networking. Well, I heard that Rotary started as a networking organization, and we always say your network is your net worth. So definitely it helped me with my businesses as well, because I connected with a lot of people who really helped me with my career path. Travel. Well, I started traveling. I mean, in my 2.5 years, I think I traveled like more than 70 times. And it was all with Rotary connection, business contacts. And the best part about all of this, Leslie, was I could do what I love the most, which is all about giving back to people, giving back to community. The skills that I have, I always wanted to give it to people. I'm not a kind of person I like to keep it to myself. I think we are born to give. The more you give, the more you get. That's the spiritual culture I come from. So I think Rotary gave me the platform to share, to connect, and to leave a legacy behind, basically.
That's absolutely brilliant. Well done. And you then were in London. You've been involved in chartering a brand new club during lockdown. I think, you know, a lot of people have sort of gone into a sort of, well, we can't do anything during lockdown. You've set up a new club and you've chartered during lockdown with a very diverse membership and a very young membership. Do you still have that same sort of profile? And what have you been up to over the last sort of few months, really, since you chartered?
Well, I still remember the day. It was 21st of October when I was with District 1130 with the Friday Night Forum, and we were talking about a passport club, and we had no idea how it functions. And we did not know how different it is as compared to a passport, traditional clubs. The only thing I knew was, and I had a strong belief that, no one is perfect. We accepted the fact we're perfectly imperfect. And we were absolutely okay with the fact that as we go along, we will keep learning. We are very open to learning. We are very open to mistakes. We are very confident about it. But at the same time, we are all learners. We are very hungry about it. So we started with, I think, of course, we were under the sponsorship of Northwick Park. And we started with 14 members. We jumped to 20 and then 24, 28. I'm really proud to say on the 7th of March, we were chartered. And we are a very diverse club, Leslie. We have about 26 different nationalities in our club. And well, it's still the youngest club average-wise in our district. And you would be extremely happy to know that if you look at the gender ratio, we have more women than men.
Yes. And how many members do you have now, Sujay?
So currently we are around 28.
28. That's not bad going. Not bad going for a new club chart that's literally been set up during this last 12 months.
And all of it during lockdown, yeah.
Yes, all of it during lockdown. Now, obviously, you're in a very traditional area. You're in London. There's a lot of very, very traditional clubs in London. How have you been received amongst the traditional clubs within your own district?
Just to answer a few of that, I think we have been received pretty well. Because of the fact that all our members are dispersed in different parts of the world. And I think that's the beauty of a passport club, because members can be a part of our own projects. They can be a part of other clubs in any other country in the world. Okay. And of course, they can initiate and trigger new projects as well if they have some amazing ideas. So I think many of our club members, some are in Portugal, some went back to Romania. So the travel is constant. Like some of our members are currently in Italy, some are in Switzerland, some are in Germany. So they all liaise with other clubs in different countries. And I think so far the support has been brilliant. And of course, this is for the new Rotary year. That's one of our major goals, of course, to connect and associate with more traditional clubs in our district and all across Great Britain and Ireland as well. And learn what kind of projects they're involved in and associate ourselves with those projects.
I know with passport clubs and e-clubs as well, a lot of traditional Rotarians don't understand how you undertake projects. Can you just explain very briefly how that works?
I would love to do that. I would love to do that, Leslie. Just to give you a little bit of what all we have done, our club, I think we have been trying to, so because of the fact, as Steve mentioned at the beginning, that we are young professionals, we're extremely busy. We have a lot of areas that's going on. People have personal lives, professional lives, financial goals, relationship issues, whatever, you name it, we have it. Okay, so we have all of that. So we have a mantra in our club wherein we say less is more. Okay, we do not like spending too much of time on meetings, but rather we are more action-based club. Okay, we are more about actions. We are more about doing things which can be easily measured, less of talk, but rather walk the talk. Okay, so we do all that. And just to give you a very quick gist, Leslie, we have done more than like 2,000 plus hours of volunteering. We have done like 25 projects. It's still ongoing right now. We have 7 guest speakers that we invited. All our websites, social media is at its peak right now. We'll be very soon launching our podcast as well. I mean, the list just goes on when it comes to all the projects. But to make the whole thing short, we have created something called as transparency, because I have experienced in Rotary before as well that most of the young members, because of the fact that presidents are so busy with other aspects and press and admin and that kind of work, they're not in a position to be in touch with each and every member. And I think members need to be valued. It's very important that every member needs to feel valued. Okay, so I think it's the job of the leader, of course, the president, to lead from the front. What we have done is something very simple. We have spreadsheets, okay, which is accessible to everyone, very transparent. In those spreadsheets, we have all the projects listed there. So what we do is any projects anywhere in the world we come across, okay, we try to get to know what is the project all about, which area of focus is that, who is the point of contact, what is the email address, and what's the website. So what we do is we put all of that on the spreadsheet, which is accessible to all of our team members. Now, based on their passion, their skills, their interest, they have the freedom to go to that spreadsheet and see that, okay, wow, this is a project which is interesting. I want to be a part of environment projects. I want to be a part of peace and conflict projects. I want to be a part of education literacy projects. So they choose and they can go and do whatever they want. Okay, they are all over the place. They get in touch with me. We have the projects chair. They're in touch with us. The only request we tell them is public image is paralyzed without data. Okay, so whatever you do, make sure bring it to us, give us the information, whatever you did, your stories, whatever you did, and we pass it on to public image and they take care of the rest.
That's outstanding. Well done. It's quite amazing, and so refreshing. Obviously, it can't. I'm going to ask the same question. We're going to ask you, James, and yourself the same questions. It can't all have been plain sailing. Have there been any pitfalls to starting a passport club, and have you had any issues or opposition along the way? You weren't getting away with it, Sujay.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to as well. I mean, I'm sure a lot of our district members are here, and I'm one of those guys as well. You know, I love challenges. I love, you know, experiencing challenges. It just gives me a thrill, and it gives me a lot of motivation to overcome that. But to answer this question, Leslie, yes, I mean, initially, because there was not much of clarity, there was not much of awareness that how a passport club usually runs. I think the initial thought amongst people or amongst members in other clubs was it is a temporary place, okay, where people can just come for some time rather than losing a member who wants to join Rotary. They can be there for some time before they decide to join a traditional club. That's a different story because the rest is history. That's how it started, but no one wants to go anywhere anymore. They want to be a part of the passport club. So I think that's how it is. I think the challenges, little challenges we have experienced was about the time zones, about meetings, okay, because members are in different countries. Some are based in Nigeria, some are in Portugal. So in terms of managing the meeting timings have been a little bit of a challenge. But as I said, we are a club. It's very clearly defined, Leslie. We are always into healthy disagreement, okay? We are very healthy. For us, service above self, club comes first, Rotary is above all of us. Okay, so any problem that we come across, we always look out for a solution. So that is why we have the concept of recording meetings. So if any case, like some of them miss the meetings, we send them the recording so that they can be up to date. Okay, yes. And they're always constantly at par with us. So I think we are pretty good at this point.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. And thank you, Sujay. I'm going to move on because we've got other speakers to get through, but I would just like to say, for the benefit of all of those that are attending this evening, is you have a really vibrant, exciting and appealing website, Facebook page, and I would suggest everybody has a look at it. And I'm really pleased to hear that you are taking on the position of an assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator. So you're on hand for everybody to call on. We're now going to move on. So thank you, Sujay.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to, before we do that, we're going to show you a short video.
I'd like you all to join me in welcoming our 46th and 47th member to the club, Tilly and Arshna. If you'd like to both come forward. We meet on Sunday mornings in a coffee shop twice a month. We don't have a meal, it's a casual coffee club meeting. Your certificate, your branded mug and your pin. Just
We think it's important that children come along, and particularly as a parent, for them to learn that they should be giving back to their community to help make a difference. I was a Rotary actor before, hit the ripe old age of 30 and realised I had to move on. And whilst the Rotary clubs in Maidenhead were doing amazing things, they met at lunchtime or in the evening, and with a then 1-year-old, that wasn't really convenient for us. So I got my friends together that used to be in Rotary, and that's where Maidenhead Bridge came forward, really. Decided to do something different.
Our clothing, this is really about our club, because we are working Rotarians and we were out in the community working rather than sitting in a meeting.
We decided to launch something called Pimp My Community, which essentially is working with charities that are very small and perhaps just starting out. So we meet with them, find out what they need, and then give 3 free hours of our professional time to really kind of crack on and get their charity going and in the right direction.
We are very involved in a local food bank that a couple of years ago was basically in a cupboard somewhere and is now in its own shop, and it helps probably about 200 families in the community.
This club is great for us because we now have a small person to consider who's welcome at meetings, and the club is seen to be flexible, that we can come along to whatever we need to. Just offers so many opportunities for helping in all kinds of different ways, and ways which I really want Matthew to benefit from.
Is it good fun?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what do you learn?
Helping other people and making them join the club.
Good work. Future membership and marketing chairman right here.
So thank you, everybody. And you've just seen Lisa in the video, and I would now like to introduce you to her without her daughter, who I have just understood is about to shortly in the next year start senior school. So are you with us, Lisa?
I am indeed. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And I've had the privilege of attending your club meeting. But for the benefit of everybody, could you give us a little bit of detail about how different, the main differences between your club and a traditional Rotary club?
Of course, I think the video demonstrated quite well there what makes us different. But the primary thing, I guess, is that we meet in a coffee shop twice a month on a Sunday morning. There's no sit-down meals, which keeps our costs down, and we're very much a family-friendly club. Our members' children are fully involved in our meetings. In fact, some of them go around and find members who may have done something silly at a previous event, which they get a lot of enjoyment out of. And as you saw there, my daughter, who will be turning 11 in the not too distant future, which is quite frightening, has been absolutely instrumental in what we're doing. She's incredibly passionate about the environment, and therefore has been working with a couple of our members since the new area of focus was introduced, telling us what we should be doing. So she's the one leading us out on litter picks and things like that, which I think is amazing, and it's great that we give our children those opportunities. And I guess the other thing, like others have mentioned tonight, is that we're very much project-led. We don't have committees, we don't have task force. It's if a member sees something that needs doing, they lead a project and we get the job done.
Yeah, and that's as I say, I've experienced that firsthand, so it's been brilliant. Would you like just briefly, because I know you've just put on an event just recently, which has been an adaptation. I'm throwing this at you because this wasn't on what we discussed, but historically you do an annual event, which you've slightly fine-tuned this year to be slightly different because of lockdown.
Yes, we've had to change our events like everybody else, and in fact, there's two events that we've done differently. We traditionally do an annual health awareness day. Take over a local storefront free of charge and offer free blood pressure checks, cholesterol checks, diabetes checks, have charities and groups there to offer advice on mental health, eating better, and that sort of stuff. And it's always been really, really successful, encouraging the public to come in a drop-in centre style fashion. Scarily, normally at least one person is told to go straight to hospital each year, which is quite frightening, but amazing that we're able to provide that service and save someone's life. Obviously, we couldn't do that in person this year, so we took it online. We couldn't do blood pressure checks, that's impossible over the internet, but we did a series of talks.
Even for you, Lisa?
Thought about it, but you know, sadly, technology hasn't quite got that far yet, maybe in the future. So this year the event was, we had talks on mental health, we did an interactive yoga session, we had particularly something that our members in particular were all working from home, which means our desks aren't set up properly because we don't have the proper chairs or the proper equipment. So we did a session on how to set up your desk for home working so that we're not limping around the house with bad backs. So that was one example. And then last Saturday, we did a brand new event, Rotary's Got Talent. So it was a live stream event. And amazingly, Rotary does actually have talent. Quite a few of our members and members from other Rotary clubs, they sang, they played the piano, they told jokes, did balloon modelling, all sorts of things. And we live streamed that, and there were judges. So there was a winner in the end that was announced, and that was all in aid of our Nepal project. rebuilding a school out there that was devastated by the 2015 earthquake. And that one event alone seems to have raised over £800, which we're thrilled by. So it's just about thinking outside the box, which I think our club does very well.
Yes, and I seem to remember you featured on a television programme during lockdown as well. So well done on that.
Thank you. I say not many people can say they had Ross Kemp packing food parcels in their back garden, can they?
No, but a brilliant advert for Rotary, so well done. Back to a little bit more serious, well, that's not serious, but would you personally have joined a traditional club, and what sort of person joins a club like yours?
Excellent question. Sad to say, actually, I probably wouldn't have joined a traditional club. As I said in the video there, I was in Rotaract from the age of 19. I met my husband in Rotaract. We just had a baby. And if we joined a traditional club, it would have had to have been me going or him going. Couldn't have done it together. I'm sure a one-year-old screaming their head off wouldn't have been particularly welcomed at a club meeting either. And we definitely wanted to do it together. So it just wasn't really an option for us. And I'm also sad to say that the clubs in the area didn't actually ask me if I wanted to join, even though I'd made it quite clear that I was ready to join. So, you know, that they missed a trick there, sadly. In terms of the sort of person that joins our club, it's open to anyone, really. Anyone looking to get involved in the community and give back. But they're looking for fun and a flexible club in order to do that. And one thing I would definitely say I've noticed over the last 12 months is there are so many people out there of all ages that want to give back. They want to volunteer, but they just haven't found that mechanism for doing it. Rotary is so perfectly placed to give them that opportunity. So we really need to be harnessing that interest as we go. We've inducted at least 5 new members over the last year. And we've also got about 30 friends of the club that jump in to help when they can. Our youngest member is 23. Our oldest member has just turned 72. So age is definitely immaterial to our club. It's all about an attitude and a wanting to give back. One thing I would say we do really well is we listen to what our members want and then deliver exactly what they're looking for. We listen to them and they tell us what they need, and then we deliver.
No, absolutely brilliant. There will be some people that will say this is not real Rotary, and I'm sure Steve and I will get some emails saying that everything we've highlighted today isn't real Rotary. What would be your answer to that, Lisa?
Well, I guess my first response would be, what do you consider to be real Rotary? I don't understand the question or that thought, really, personally. You know, the Rotary motto is service above self. And I think our club totally lives up to that. We do more than 3,000 hours of voluntary service every single year. So if we're not living up to that motto, I don't know who is. But yeah, so that I guess would be my answer is, you know, service above self. And I think we tick that box quite well.
Yeah, well, I know you do. So that's absolutely brilliant. Do you work alongside the traditional clubs in your area?
Yeah, definitely. It's something we're very proud to do. Like the others have said today, when our club was first mentioned, I was called to an extraordinary council meeting to explain myself. Once I'd explained that we weren't in competition, we were just offering something a bit different, and actually we could use this as a massive opportunity for Rotary in our town. You know, they got on board. Rotary in Maidenhead was formed, which is a unified image of Rotary in our area. So it promotes all 3 Rotary clubs and our Rotaract club, tells people how they can get involved and signposts them to the club that fits with their lifestyle. Our club doesn't suit everybody. So if they get in touch with us, we'll find out about what that person's looking for and take them along to a more suitable club and encourage them to get involved. We now do joint projects together, have a joint website and joint marketing materials. So yeah, it's totally an opportunity, and I, you know, wish every town could have that unified. This is Rotary. This is the opportunities for our community to get involved and support.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think one of the most important things is everybody needs to remember is it's the club that suits the potential Rotarian, not we need to grab you because we need you as a member of our club. It's which sort of Rotary sorts the person who's thinking of joining us. Lisa, I'm going to draw it to a close there. We're watching our time, and we've got one more, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions. So I'm now going to hand back to Steve, who will introduce our final guest for this evening. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Leslie. I think the quote of the evening so far there from Lisa is having to go before council to explain herself. Says a lot, really. Okay. I'm going to bring in somebody else now, Andrew Thompson. Andrew and I met when we did some work a little while back with Operation Rally. And Andrew, during our meetings and conversations, started to tell me about his club, which I found really interesting. And I thought it would be a good one to share with you. You know, people might look at the Passport Club idea and think, well, I'm not really sure whether that's for me. Do we want an e-club? No, actually, we want to expand our club, but we don't seem to be able to do it. We just don't seem to be able to attract people to our club. So this was just another idea, and I thought I'd bring Andrew on and try and get him to explain a little bit about his club, because it certainly took me by surprise the first time I chatted to him. So good evening, Andrew.
Hi, Steve. Hi, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us, Andrew. So you are a member of the Satellite Club of Chesterfield?
I am, yes.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so effectively the club was set up, and the initiative came from the Chesterfield Satellite, the Chesterfield Rotary Club itself. So the members 4 or 5 years ago recognised that you know, they needed a younger team, more diverse group of people perhaps in Chesterfield, and they got together. They had a meeting, and out of that meeting they made some contacts through networks, daughters and sons of existing members. They all got together, and out of that was the Satellite Club was born. So and you know, we are a younger, diverse, we're a mixed group, 50% 50-50 male female, you know, really active, and but the main point is it came out, the initiative came from the Chesterfield Rotary Club themselves, which I think is really important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you have so you've got kind of 2 clubs here now. Hang on a minute, what's going on? Is it 1 club or is it 2 clubs? So because when you said to me you were a satellite club, the first thing I said was, wow, great, how long have you been going? 4 years. And I'm thinking, whoa, how many members have you got? Over 20 members. Why did the club not charter it and become a club on its own then?
So I think previous speakers have talked about, you know, the sort of weekly meetings at lunchtime. You know, we're all sort of we're working. We can't meet during the week or during lunchtime. So we meet twice a month in the evening. So we have our main members meeting at Rugby Club, and then we have a sort of officers meeting just to plan the next month's activities, and that's open to everybody anyway. If all members, that's open to all members. So you know, that's what we do. So we work that way, and the Chesterfield Rotary Club still, they have a Friday lunchtime meeting, and myself and as chair, and another member, Paul Davis, who's our secretary, we attend the Chesterfield Rotary Club's monthly council meeting, so we can then update them on what we're doing. They update on us. You know, we work together that way.
Okay, so would you say that you have a good relationship with your parents' club, should we call them?
Yeah, absolutely. I say, because they initiated the change, and you know, they're very heavily involved in what we do. You know, they're handing over responsibility to run the events that we are running. We've taken over a few of their events. We've initiated our own events, of course, but yeah, certainly we work together really well.
Well, that's excellent. So So let's have a little look at Chesterfield and Rotary itself. So do you think that the formation of this, should we call it a branch? It is a satellite club, so it's a branch of the one club, but there's no intention for you to become a separate club. Do you see eventually that you will, in years to come, be the Chesterfield club?
I think that's the intention, certainly, of the Chesterfield Rotary Club. They had a vision. I think, I don't want to sort of say that they're sort of in their late 70s, should we say. So they had a vision that they wanted to continue the work locally, and we've taken on that responsibility, if you like. We're all very passionate about helping the local community, like Lisa and Paul and James have talked about earlier, doing voluntary work. We volunteer at local events, and we do litter picking, and but we also raise raise funds for local charities. So we're involved in a number of different projects, and similar to my other colleagues earlier, members come to us with projects, and we discuss it, and we say, yeah, let's go for it. So for instance, we've had a member recently who a few years ago went to Nepal. And we decided to. Lee came to us and said, "Look, we'd like to try and help build a school. It probably costs around about £20,000 to do. So, we're gonna support Lee, and we're going to form a project group to help. Once restrictions are lifted, we can help with that project. So we are led by our members and bringing ideas to us. So that's how we work."
And do you think that both sides of the club will be involved in that project?
Yeah, I'm sure that the parent club are involved. We've got a car show coming up, and which last year actually we had organised, but obviously it was we weren't able to hold it, so we held it online. And we raised over £4,000 for local charities through Instagram, putting pictures of your car or bike on Instagram. So that was really quite fun to do. And of course, the parent club, they got involved in that, and they fully supported us when we went online, and it was really successful. So yeah, we worked really well together on that. And this year they'll come along and help us with the various voluntary work required, at an event that we, when the sun's shining, we might get 3,000 people along. So we're looking forward.
Oh wow, brilliant! So it looks to me like the Chesterfield Club 4 years ago or more took a look at themselves. They meet on a Friday, I think, as you said, as at a lunchtime. They've taken a look at themselves, maybe done a bit of a survey around the club, and they've decided to do something, maybe because they felt they were getting on and they couldn't in age, and they couldn't attract anyone to the club of a certain age, and they've actually gone out and they've done something about it, and it looks to me like it's been very successful.
I think they've done an amazing job, and I'm sure all the Rotary clubs in the UK, they've got the same vision. They've been in existence to help their local community, whether that be locally or far and wide. So we've all got the same ethos, and like Lisa said, service above self. So they recognised and wanted to try and continue that idea within Chesterfield, and hats off to them for the vision they had, really.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Hats off to them. And if there is anybody from the Chesterfield Club, congratulations, because I think what you've done is you've taken the idea of a satellite club, and it's all about, I think, recognising the issues that your club may have with its age profile and its ability to attract new members, and wanting to be still a traditional club. And let's face it, the traditional clubs are the backbone of Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland. They've done so much great work over the years, but the Chesterfield Club, top marks, because you've recognised the fact that you want to keep Rotary going in your local community, and you've planted that seed, and that seed will grow on to carry your legacy forward in years to come. So that's brilliant. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, and again, it's something different for people to think about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand back over to Bob. Bob, have we got some questions perhaps that people would like to put to us?
Hi, Steve. Yes. First of all, thank you to all the speakers and for answering the questions. You certainly have stirred up some interest in the Q&A and also the chat. So without further ado, I'll go through some of the questions we've got here. So question probably for you, Steve, to start with, I suspect, as you're online and waiting for it. Steve Howe asks, how does the Passport Club model work with the Global Hub?
Yeah, the Global Hub it's a really interesting concept, very exciting, and actually could be a whole a whole evening spent on that itself. But the Global Hub and the Passport Clubs, we actually have at the moment, we have Global Hubs growing within. We have Passport Clubs growing within the Global Hub. So they can, if you wanted to start a Passport Club, you could actually grow that. Once people go into the Global Hub, of course, they become Rotarians straight away. It's like a direct entry into Rotary. So Passport Clubs can be grown in there. They can get to know each other out there. They can still work in their own community as well. So we're still working on that that concept and that idea. But the Global Hub itself really is growing and growing and growing, and there is going to be much more to come from the Global Hub.
Thanks, Steve. And on a similar, guys, while you're there, is there a limit to the number of Passport Clubs in a district?
No, there is no limit. And I've been asked the question that many times. I've even contacted RI, confirmed it's that there is no limit to the amount that you can have. But if it was a district-wide one and boundaries, if you had another one, I would suggest it would probably be more to do with a cause-based club, which is again a totally different thing altogether. But no, there's no limit.
Okay. I'll give you a rest and ask Leslie this next one because it's a slightly longer one and she's online already. From Martin Brocklebank, what's the difference between a Passport Club and a hybrid club that uses technology?
Oh, thanks, Bob. Right, well, as I understand it, a Passport Club, certainly how James and Sujay are doing Passport Club slightly differently from each other. Martin's club that he runs is purely an e-club. To be honest, I think there's very little difference, but the Passport Club is probably more flexible. And what we're trying to encourage is every district to have a Passport Club. So if every district could have a Passport Club where members who, perhaps we have a member who lives in a particular area who doesn't like any of the clubs in the area they live in, if the district had a Passport Club, it could all sort of embrace it. Well, Steve's got his hand up. I knew he'd have to come in and answer it.
No, I just wanted to say that one of the main things is about the Passport Club is when it first came in and when I sort of wanted to start this up, I had an idea of what the Passport Club was going to be like. And of course, it doesn't work like that because a Passport Club has been started and James started it. And I think James would even say the same thing. It evolves. They've evolved into little clusters throughout, little hubs, as they call them, Passport hubs. We never envisaged that happening at all. It has evolved, and it's evolved because of the type of work that they do and the geographical areas that they work in. So it's one of those things that you try it in your area, and you might find that, like in London, a lot of the people in London were based in London, and then their business has taken them elsewhere. So they will be in different places. So they've kind of moved out of London. They may very well come back to London. But as Sujay said, they didn't want to leave the club, which was the interesting thing, because people have got in there and they want to stay, which is fantastic. And just because they move out of the country, why should we move them out of a club that they love? So they do alter slightly, but the original idea was you join a club that has no fixed base, if you like, and there's 10 Rotary clubs near me. I could go to any of those Rotary clubs that I want to, drop in to see them. And then every 2 weeks, I go to my Passport Club online meeting or in person, and I report back to them. And I can get involved in any of the things that the local clubs are doing here. I can help them out with projects. In fact, we can all, as a group, as a Passport group, we could all go and help with that 10K that's been run in Chester, whatever it may be. So that's kind of the idea. But we have to keep this thing fluid, you know, as long as we're doing service above self, as been said several times tonight.
Okay. And what's the difference between a Passport Club and flexible and innovative club, and also e-clubs? Because I've had the same question as well. So.
Yeah, well,
based on the same lines, I suspect.
Yeah, well, I think with e-clubs, we've already kind of broached that in an e-club. You know, we have, for instance, we have one up in Scotland, the Rotary Club of South Scotland, which I will just pick out of thin air, and they have members from all over the world. Some of them used to live in Scotland, but they've moved. You can have members of an e-club, like Martin has talked about his club as well. They have people all over the world, and they're still doing Rotary service, and that Rotary service is different to some of the traditional clubs, but it counts just as much. And that some of the work that these e-clubs are doing is incredible. They're so innovative in the way that they do things. When it comes to flexible and innovative, get that word right, it is about being flexible, and there is a passport club is a flexible and innovative club. Flexible and innovative is a type of club. You know, it's a type of a different way of doing Rotary, if you like.
Lovely. You two can have a bit of a rest now. James has got 2 or 3 questions here. So coming to James, if you can unmute yourself, James. Where did you go to in order to meet and recruit new Rotarians?
That's a good question. So essentially, what we do is we ask for help from the public, right? We work with other organizations. We are very good at reaching out to other people without directly being like, I want you to join my club so badly. You know, it is a mindset. People join because this is the way I view membership. I'm not asking you to join. You're asking me to join because we're so good and you want to be involved with what we're doing. So we work so closely with people, so many different organizations from everywhere, by reaching out, not with a goal of membership, but a goal of projects. They get involved with projects, then they want to join the club. So that's really how we get members.
Okay. Julie O'Donnell thinks it'd be useful to get an idea of where you've gone for your grants and how you got them.
So we're very ambitious, and we have the PAVO grant, which is the Powys Association of Voluntary Organizations. That's just for Powys. We got Lotto grants. They're always very good. Co-op community grants, which again, very easy funding for Rotary clubs. And above all, the Rotary Foundation. We did 2 district grants, and I'm sure we'll do a global grant in the future. So yes, lots of grants, just reaching out to third-party organizations.
Okay, and on a similar vein, how did you get your grants when you're not a charity and have no audited accounts?
Well, we are a charity.
I was going to say that may be an assumption, but that's what I thought might be the answer. And very last one for James, last one at the moment for James. Couldn't you have just done all this wonderful work independently? Why bother with Rotary and annual subs?
I'm really glad you asked me that question. Because yes, of course, you could do it all independently. I could be a solo operator, but then I'm not getting the benefits of an international organization. The power of that is immense. The subs are, what kind of deal do you get in life where you get mentorship from people all across ages in different vocations? You meet people from across the world. I was just in Uganda, made a ton of friends there in Rotary. I've been around the world meeting Rotarians. I'm speaking now to 232 people because of Rotary. Sorry, but that's a bloody good deal. So why would you not be in Rotary? You know, it's changed my life for the better. And £10 a month is a steal, absolute steal.
Thank you. Perfect answer. Drew Lacey has asked CJ, why is the London Passport Club not designated as an e-club, as you already said that you've got people from outside of your district?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, all our members are actually, I mean, they are in London. It's just that they have more flexibility. They all have the membership in London. They are connected to London. So whether they are working for different companies or they're entrepreneurs, some of them are students, but their life is designed in such a way that they move around a lot. Okay, so that's the whole idea. It's not that members are all over the place. They're not in London, but it's the difference is the members are in London or in different parts of UK, but they travel around way too much. And the objective is to give them a platform wherein even if they are in different countries, okay, they should be in a position to associate themselves with different Rotary clubs, still follow their passion, still follow their skill sets if they want to take in or give. Okay, because as I already mentioned, that Rotary is also a platform where you can learn so much of skills which are transferable. This is exactly what I was talking about. Like, to me, I mean, and to all our members, what we do is we do webinars and events within ourselves. And the reason why we do that is because we want to be more valued as a person in our personal lives, professional lives, and no one is perfect. So what I have, maybe someone else doesn't have, and what they have, maybe I don't have. So we all try to learn from each other. So to answer the question, all our members are based in London, but it's just that they move around different parts.
Lovely. And excuse me, this question is for both CJ, Lisa and James. If you could answer very briefly, each of you, on this one. How does each of your clubs get involved with the Rotary Foundations? I'll start with CJ, as he's already unmuted.
All right, so we have, because our club is pretty new, and we are very closely working with Adrian. He is our assistant governor. And already for the next Rotary year, we have plans for 5 different projects. We are definitely applying for global grants. So that would be in the areas of education, in the areas of peace and conflict resolution and environment, and few more. So at this point of time, we are working very closely with Adrian, and we would be applying for global grants. And when it comes to Rotary Foundation, we strongly believe that this is a foundation which we need to support as well. And we have very, very powerful, effective fundraising team. And we all are working very closely together. And we have quite of a big target in terms of raising over £10,000 and contribute towards the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you. Lisa, how does your club get involved with Foundation?
Same really. We fundraise to put money into Foundation and have also been a recipient of a global grant to support our project in Nepal, which was massive help. And Foundation/polio, because it all comes under a similar base. Very passionate about polio. In fact, earlier this year, we did the Peas Are for Polio Challenge and ate 1,240 peas as quickly as we possibly could and got sponsored to do it. Something a bit silly, but in that silliness, it raised quite a lot of awareness locally and online about the Rotary Foundation and the amazing work that it does.
Brilliant. And James?
In our first year, we applied for 2 district grants, and we got both of them. Because of that, and actually getting the grants without putting a penny into Foundation, I was able to encourage members to fundraise for Foundation and have this very positive outlook of what it's doing. I won't shut up about what I've been doing in Uganda with the Rotary Foundation, so that also helps. We're very pro Foundation in the club now. We've got plans for the future, plans to fundraise and support it. It's a wonderful charity.
Lovely. And this probably is more akin to CJ and James as the newer clubs, but speakers are talking about their club, yet much advice within and without Rotary is to stop using the word club. Have they found their recruits are happy to join a club rather than a group? CJ, you're live at the moment, so.
Can you repeat the question, Bob, for me?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of talk in Rotary about the use of the word club. Have you found that the recruits are happy to join a club rather than a group or an organisation or anything else you want to call it?
I think my members are extremely happy when we say London Rotary Passport Club. And I think that's simply because of the fact that I think when we use the word club, it kind of unites together. I mean, we are like a family. We all are growing together. We even have these visuals that, we all should grow old together. When we are really old and we would have achieved so much in our lives, we'll be by the beach and, look back to those days and say, hey, you know what a long way we have come together. So I think we are very comfortable who we are and we're very happy with the name. Yeah.
Lovely. James, do you have anything to add to that?
We have a bit of a different outlook. You're joining Rotary as an organisation. So because we're district wide, we don't really emphasize club, it's project. You join the project, you join Rotary as an organisation.
Lovely, that's good. Question now for probably Steve or Leslie, whichever way who deems to answer. How many passport clubs are there in the UK?
There's at the moment chartered, there's 2, and we have the 2 presidents with us. We're very honoured to have them with us tonight. And as you can see, they're very different. However, there are I would say probably at the moment about another 5 or 6 that are being actively pursued. Some of them are growing in the global hub as well, which is excellent. Some of them are doing it independently, and I know that, you know, I get phone calls from people all the time about the passport model, and I've been and spoken at many districts about it, and I know that Leslie has as well. So you know, it is becoming very popular, and I said before that, you know, we would like, and I've said from day one, from the very first passport club, from the very first time that I heard about it, that we should have one of these in every district. It's flexible, it's there for everybody to use, you know, and if something happens with work and you can't make your meetings, you don't have to leave Rotary, you know, and you don't have to leave Rotary. There should be a club for everybody in every district, and by having a passport club, you know, you're making Rotary available to everybody.
Yeah. Many of the last few questions are all basically about the same thing, and please, Steve or Leslie, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're all about fees and things like that. But all members of passport clubs and any variety of clubs pay the same fees as everybody else.
Yeah, I'll answer that one. It's exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever. They just choose to meet in a different way.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And just checking the last few to see if there's any more that haven't been answered already in some form or another. Right, Andrew, one for you. In the Chesterfield Satellite Club arrangement, as a branch of the parent club where you aren't separately chartered, how do you account for funds costs? Are you sharing their trust fund, or do you have different trust funds which are kept apart from the main club?
Yeah, good question. Yes, we have our own charity account, and so we keep separate fundraising accounts, and it works very well.
Yeah, lovely. And I think that is all the questions answered as far as I can see. They've all been there are all lots of different questions in the same sort of format. Question, last one for Lisa, I think. Lisa, do you support Rota Kids and Interact, or is it not necessary because you encourage the kids to come to your club?
Great question, and we would love to have an Interact or a Rota Kids club going. As I said, my daughter moves to secondary school in 18 months' time, so she's definitely going to be forming an Interact club there, whether she likes it or not. So we will get one going fairly soon.
Thank you, lovely. Another question from Eve Conway for Steve or for Leslie. I don't know whether you'll have the figures to hand, but how many members are in the Rotary Hub?
I think it's 39.
Is it? I thought there was, well, I thought there was more than that, but
is that they are actually independent Rotary members in the hub. Is that figure? Of course, there are a lot of other people that use the platform, so there is a difference between the Teams platform and the Rotary Global Hub as an independent club. So there is.
As we understand it, there are actually 39 members of the Global Hub.
And Nick Drake says 179 growing, and it is growing. There are people, and of course we expect that to grow even more going into the new Rotary year as well.
One suggestion here from Michael Brown, which you may wish to comment, Steve or Leslie. How about a passport club for Rotarians over 70 who are unable to attend their club meetings but still want to be connected with Rotary?
I read that a few minutes ago and it made me smile because, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is no, James will tell you, there are people in his passport club that perhaps are that age. James, tell us what the range of ages is in the passport club.
I did see a question that said, do you have to be young and dynamic to lead a passport club? Definitely not. No. We have a even spread. It represents the community. We are slightly more women than men, which is great, but we have a spread. Like there's no more than one age. I just happen to be the president and be young. The next president is a bit older, but it just represents the community. It's a complete spread.
Yeah, and that is it. There is no. It's not all about young people. It's that age doesn't mean age means nothing if you want to go out to your community and you want to serve. It just means that people don't want to meet and eat every week. It's not about where you meet. It's not about what you eat. It is about what you do, and that's what passport clubs and alternative type clubs can help you do.
One question for Lisa. How can you operate a Sunday morning club for regular churchgoers who have responsibilities there?
Excellent question. And I would have to say that I guess that's something for that churchgoer to work out whether they could miss perhaps one church meeting a month to come to a Rotary meeting. But having said that, and like we've said tonight, Rotary isn't about meetings. If you want to go to church on a Sunday morning, but join our club and help at our events, that's brilliant. We do 3, 4, 5 different events a week, and it's about giving that service. So you can still very much be involved in our club and not come to a meeting. So it doesn't have to clash. It doesn't have to be an issue.
Thank you, Lisa. And I think this will be the last question for this evening. Most of the rest have been answered. Does a passport club have a registration system within Rotary, and are members committed to annual subscription, which I think basically has been answered?
Yeah. Yeah, it is
It does, and yes, they do, is this
yes.
straightforward answer.
Yeah.
Great. Well, first of all, can I thank Steve and Leslie for leading the questions on tonight. Thank you very much to the panelists who've certainly stirred up emotions within Rotary and those people online tonight. And most importantly, thank you for the best part of 300 people who joined us tonight and had a good listen to these wonderful speakers tonight. Thank you very much indeed. Well, the next webinar will be on something to do with the 7 areas of focus. So we will be bringing that to you in the next few weeks. But thank you very much for your attendance this evening, and have a good evening.